Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday night segment of Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Syracusa, and Philip Syracusa. We are broadcasting live from the United Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM from New Orleans. This evening's show is fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. We love them. You will have to do a few things in order to participate in chat. Go over to the International Public Radio on YouTube, get into chat, subscribe if you haven't. I can only respond to your comments on that YouTube channel. You can also go into all of the Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, also Twitch, SoundCloud, and Podbean. Also, go over to our group on Facebook, Horsefly Chronicles Radio. And also, if you have any questions for our guest, please ask. Today, we have an amazing guest who we know well, and we've talked to before. So please let's welcome Deborah Voorhees to the show. Deborah is a director, producer, writer, editor, and teacher, even a Hollywood B-screen starlet. In film and television, she worked as an actress in Friday the 13th, Part 5, Avenging Angel, Innocent Prey, 7 episodes of Dallas, Riptide, and Days of Our Lives. Her new movie, 13 Fanboy, that she directed, will be out on October 22nd, 21, and is making quite a stir. You will see a lot of familiar faces in this movie, like Dee Wallace from E.T., and Cujo, Corey Feldman from the Lost Boys and Stand By Me and the Goonies, Kane Hodder. He played Jason in Friday the 13th, Part 6, and he was also in many other movies. Deborah has directed so many other movies and music videos and is an award-winning director. Find out more on her website on VoorheesFilms.com. So please let's welcome Deborah to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And that was quite an introduction. I appreciate it. The only one thing is that Kane Hodder was in 4 different Friday the 13th, and C.J. Graham is the one from Part 6.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, everyone.
That's okay. I just wanted you to not get in trouble with the horror fans out there. The Friday the 13th.
Sorry, guys.
Like, oh, no!
Well, Deborah, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it. So why don't you tell us, take us to the beginning of your story. What inspired you to become an actress and then become interested in film and making movies?
You know, I think overall, I've always loved telling stories. I've always been making up stories. I'm sorry to say, but in school, I spent a whole lot of time in my head. And I'd be going on these wild adventures. The teacher may have been up there trying to teach me something, but I was in my head going, ooh, I'm on a horseback trip, and ooh, there's a mountain lion after me. You know? Who knows where I was in my head. But I loved doing stories. I love, and what a beautiful way of doing it. Think about a movie. A movie uses all different types of the arts. You have the visual arts. You have lighting, you have music, sound design, the physical visuals part, costuming, makeup, you just go down the line and it has all of it. It all comes together with movies. And so I think it was just a natural fit for me.
And you do such a great job at it.
Yes.
We've seen the trailer for 13 Fanboy. Yes. I mean, that was an amazing trailer.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was put together. And I guess that's all the years of experience that,
I am not the best at doing trailers, but I had Riley Morris. He was my partner in crime. He and I edited the film together, and he definitely took the lead on that. I did make a lot of choices and cuts and changes to it. but there's zero doubt that he was definitely the lead editor on it, and I really pleased with it. And so much of what makes it work so well is also the sound design, which is by Barack Tupelo. He's out of no, I'm not pronouncing his name right, so I'm just going to say Barack. He's out of London, did an amazing job. Tamer Surrey, he's in LA right now, and he did the music. And without those two things, a scary movie isn't scary without that.
Yeah.
Think about it. Just watch any scary movie and turn the sound down. We're not scared anymore.
Isn't that true?
You've got to have the good visuals too, but it's 50% of a movie.
It's funny that you're saying that. We were just watching a movie not too long ago from the 60s, one of those black and white horror films, and it was like a loop play of the horror music, and it was just like, okay, so it's not scary anymore because it's the same theme over and over again with different scenes. So I could definitely relate to that. But what I do like about the trailer of Friday 13th Fanboy is that it has a lot of content and a lot of different moving parts to it, which it's not a boring trailer. It's like you want to it just keeps going to one content to the other, and it's like, wow.
Because trailers are so important, because let's face it, we watch a lot of trailers, and trailers will make you want to watch that movie.
Oh
yeah,
and it was fabulous.
My pet peeve with trailers is when they start telling too much of the story. Tell me just enough to get me interested, but don't tell me much more. And because sometimes I finish watching a trailer, and very often I will cut it off at the 60-second mark. If I feel like it's starting, it's like, oops, nope, telling me too much. Turn that thing off, especially if I want to see it, because there have been times when I'm like going, oh, this looks interesting. And then I'm going along and I'm like, I don't need to see it anymore. I know exactly what they're doing.
Or they don't show enough. And then there's trailers that they don't show nothing. And you're just like, okay, you're lost.
Right. You've got to have the combo.
Yeah.
And so that's, I'm really happy with the way the trailer came out. I feel like it told you enough about the killer. I'm also much more interested in a story that tells you about a killer, because I'm going to just pretend this isn't a human being with thoughts and feelings and reasons for being who this person is.
Yes.
I want to see a layered character on everything. I don't want just a dead-eyed killer just out there doing it for no really particular reason.
I agree.
And not that there's some great stories out there. I mean, obviously Friday the 13th, did that, and there's nothing wrong with that approach. That's a perfectly valid choice. I just made a different one.
Yeah.
And it's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take it in a different direction.
Yes.
It's pretty unique.
Thank you.
And it has a different twist to it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank
you. Tell us about the movie. Like, what made you want to do this movie?
Oh, I had been talking to fans. I have a Facebook group called Deborah Voorhees Share Horror, and I had started to get to know fans, and they really kept talking to me over and over again about doing something with their favorite characters from Friday the 13th and people from their favorite horror movies. And I was like, okay, most of the things they would pitch to me, they'd come up with all these different ideas, but they all would have been a Friday the 13th movie, or it's something that was attached to something that already exists. So you've got copyright issues. That really can't work for us. So I went about it as, okay, what would work? And so, I'd really been thinking about it for quite a while, but the idea came when I was talking to my producing partner, and he and I were talking about a different film that we were looking at doing. I still hadn't decided on what kind of horror film I wanted to do for the horror fans. And he asked me about what it was like going to horror conventions and stuff. And I said, well, I said, it's a lot of fun, you know, being around people who love horror. It's like being around a bunch of kids at Halloween who just like have so much fun dressing up and stuff. They're really pretty cool people. And he said, well, did anything ever scary happen? I said, no, not at a horror convention. I said, but I did have a couple things that happened that were a little bit on the creepy side. But you have to understand, most horror fans are really very respectful and very kind. So you can't label fans by a couple of situations. And he said, well, what happened? And I said, well, I said, once I had somebody, and I've had a couple kind of, every once in a while you get that one that's just a little off that you're like going, but that's in anything. I don't care if you're fans of Star Wars or, you know, Happy Days. There's always going to be one that's a little off. And that's more about human nature than about horror fans. But I got one message via Facebook and it said, wouldn't it be cool if you died in real life like you did on Friday the 13th? Well, my death was pretty brutal. And I'm not really looking to end my days that way. I want to end it, you know, very quietly in my bed, going to sleep and not wake up, you know, something very peaceful, nice. And I didn't like that. That made me feel really uncomfortable. I blocked the person. They never bothered me again. And so I probably was just somebody trying to have a little bit of fun. But I just didn't I wasn't in it. You know, I was like, no, I'm not feeling that. So, but the other one was even more troublesome because it came as a personal text to my personal phone.
Oh.
And I was sitting in my office and I was writing. And I had, you know how you have the French doors and they're glass. And so, you know, I didn't have curtains on them or anything. And I live in the mountains. So I live kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And so in front of me is just, you know, a bunch of land and trees and things like that. And it was very dark. So I couldn't really see, but I had a little light next to me. And, you know, that means people out there can see me, but I don't normally worry about it. Right. And he says, I see you. And then basically goes on to that you could tell he's pretending to be Jason and pretending that he was there to kill me.
Oh my God.
And that really made me uptight. And I blocked the person. Luckily, after that series of texts, as far as I know, they've never tried to contact me again. If they did, they were not telling me who they were. And but that ended. And my producing partner said, that's our story. And I'm like going, I'm looking for something fictional, not something that can actually happen. And then I literally spent the next 5 nights kind of pacing, thinking about it. And then finally I was just like, you know, if this is freaking me out, I can freak other people out. This is the story. This is the right one. And I kind of adjusted it. One of the things that was kind of troublesome for me initially was like, will making of the movie cause a problem? And I thought, no, somebody who's that type's going to do it no matter what. And stalking is not something new. Stalking has been around forever. And people in films that never talked about stalking have been stalked. So I felt comfortable. I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's right. It's not, this has already existed. It's not like I'm telling somebody a whole new way of being in the world. So I called up my producing partner and said, let's go, let's do it. And so we spent the next 3 months coming up with a full, complete outline. And when I say complete, I mean, I knew every step of the way where we were going from A to Z, every single twist, every single turn, every scene. And then I took it and fleshed it out from there. So it was very much a joint partnership.
But that is so
That's-
crazy how it, like, she got the idea from something that really did happen to her.
Right, right. And what became really interesting is after we began the process and we were well into writing and stuff, I started approaching different people from the horror community. And I began to hear the stories about some of the things they had been through. I had trouble with some guys in high school who were stalking me. It wasn't Friday the 13th related. So I had that element to add to it. And it's really frightening when somebody's threatening you and following you and things like that, leaving messages in my mailbox and this sort of thing. But then talking to them, I found that Adrienne King had a stalker, and it was a very serious situation. And for those who don't know, she was the final girl in the very first film. Then Judy Aronson in part 3 had one. It actually wasn't Friday the 13th related. It was from something that she was doing with on television. And then we had a third one that was Lar Park Lincoln, and she's also in the film as well. And she had a stalker for 6.5 years. And so that one was a very serious situation as well, as Adrian's was. And so that really made me realize just how close to reality all of this was.
Definitely.
And you hear those
I was
stories.
going to say that you do. You hear a lot of stories like that.
Yeah.
And, thankfully yours turned out to be different, but there were some tragedies that did happen.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
So, take us back now to your acting career. Let's go back on the clock and Dallas, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that, because that was a big show back in the day.
It was a huge show. And that was actually my first gig. The first gig I had with them was working as an extra. And I did extra stuff for them many times. And then I actually was hired on to do work as a stand-in, which was actually my favorite thing to do because you became a part of the family. And so I stood in, if you don't know what a stand-in is, it's where somebody comes in for the actor or actress and stands there while they're doing the lighting, because it can take quite a bit of time. So it's easier on the actors because they've got to get prepared for the role rather than just stand there. They're usually in hair and makeup and everything else. And so I was doing it for the brunettes in the film. So like Victoria Principal, Linda Gray, and that sort of thing. And then I ended up, over time, they put me in 7 different speaking roles in the film. And Larry Hagman would sometimes on set just call me Debbie Sue as my name. And which I thought was really funny. And one of my favorite things, though, is that when I would come on the set, he would sing, it's, the Peggy Sue song, Peggy Sue, I love you, only the Debbie Sue, I love you. And so I thought that was really sweet. It was a neat set to work on. There were a lot of nice people on there.
Yeah, that was an amazing show.
Yeah. And then what was next after Dallas?
I don't know if I can remember in chronological order, but I know Voyeurs was very close in there, and that was with PJ Souls. And I was a pivotal character because her husband picks me up in a bar. I played a hooker, and he murders me, and she has been following him. And she looks through the window in the bathroom, and he sees him actually slit my throat. And so that's the moment that she realizes her husband is a killer.
Wow.
And
well, then it was the Friday the 13th.
Yeah. So
and it was like,
I'm trying. Let's see. After that, Gosh, I did a lot of different things. Riptide was one of my favorites to do.
That's what was on my mind. Yes.
Yeah, it was it was a little bit of a comedic role. And you could tell it was kind of like that moment was kind of like a perfect rom-com kind of moment. And so I had a whole lot of fun with that. It was I was playing, there were the two detectives and they were trying to find somebody who was supposed to be in the room, and I had a big party going. And they kept asking me questions and I kept hanging up on them, because I was, like not really paying much attention to them. And so, but it was very comedic and lots of fun. I enjoyed that set a lot. They were really nice too. And then, let's see, I'm trying to remember exactly when Friday the 13th came in. It would have been in 85 that it was made, but we probably did auditions a little bit earlier than that. And that was just a big cattle call. And they're just, you're just going through these long lines. And so I ended up reading 3 times, and I read for the role of teen every time. I think because I had the body type of what they were looking for and the physical look. But then Danny just liked my interpretation of it. He said the biggest problem that he was having with the actors is in that, am I allowed to cuss on here? Is cussing okay?
Well, we say bleep. We can't really curse.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I like that.
Okay. I don't know if this is like anything where it has censored. Is it okay to cuss?
Oh, no. Carnation wouldn't.
Yeah, Carnation would not like that.
Okay. We won't do that then. Well, I say a naughty word, and that I said it flirtingly.
Yes.
And where they were angry. And so it's one of those things that if he had given, I'm sure there was plenty of fine actresses that if he had given them that instruction, they would have been more than happy to do that. But very often I found in Hollywood, in movies and stuff, they kind of want you coming in and already being that character as opposed to needing direction. And, and I understand that. I can see, they don't want to get to set and feel like that now the person can't quite make that, but it still, I'm sure, would have worked fine. But I'm grateful. I'm glad I got the role, and I loved what I did.
Yes.
And each role and each thing that you've done throughout the years, you built up an incredible resume, portfolio, and now look, right? You have Fanboy. And now Fanboy is going to be in the actual movie theaters?
It will be. We have select theaters right now. I don't know where everything will be yet. We're still working on some, but I know we have LA, Phoenix, Tucson, Minneapolis, Chicago, Detroit, Albuquerque. I know I'm missing some. I said Los Angeles, right? Yes. Orange County. I know we have Orange County. Mm-hmm. So right now they're still building the list. So I don't know where that's going to be at the moment. But yeah, it'll be in select theaters, and then it'll be on just about every VOD platform that you can think of. And it will also be, like in demand, pay-per-view, all of that. Let's see, what else do we have? We have after that is when the secondary markets will happen. DVDs and Blu-rays and all of that, of course, will come too. But there's kind of like a hierarchy of where you're going, but we're doing what's called a day and date release. I'm hoping we're going to pick up some drive-ins. I know that that's being looked at the moment as a possibility, because it'll be 1 week after Halloween Kills comes out. And I know some people are looking to pair us with a double feature with Halloween Kills and 13 Fanboy, which can you imagine being able to go see a double feature like that in a drive-in?
Well, the drive-ins are doing really well right now.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
are. And I would just love to be in some drive-ins. That's for sure.
Yes, that would be amazing. That would be great.
Yeah, that's a big thing in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Especially after the whole pandemic, that
It's
really
it's
made
really
a
big.
big
People love
comeback.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we would love to be in some drive-ins. So if you have people, I know we just got picked to a lot, hundreds. And so we'll see what happens. It really depends on what else they have coming out. Obviously we're a smaller indie film than something like Halloween, but that doesn't mean we won't get picked up. And after this one comes out, I have a feeling we will definitely get picked up for part 2. Because I don't know if we'll be the little guys anymore, but we are right now.
That's it. And I definitely think so. Just by watching the trailer, I mean, it
was a good trailer.
It's exciting. So because this is a paranormal show, we're going to just mix it up just a little bit.
Okay.
We had you on a couple of years ago on a smaller network. We're now on a huge network. And have you, throughout your life, had any paranormal experiences? The little ghost things.
Oh, yeah.
As we know, our listeners want
this
to hear
one's
about
really
that.
quite comical, and I can't say for sure if this one was legitimately paranormal or not, but it sure looked like it. We were watching a scary ghost movie, and we have a dog. Well, we have more than one dog, but this one dog in particular staring off into an empty corner. Nothing is there. No one's there. And right at some really scary part, she starts growling at the corner.
Oh.
And I was like going, okay, not funny. Stop that now.
When they do that, there's almost all the time there is something going on. Because
right. And I know like going, okay. Now, my husband was there too, and he saw it. And he has really good ears. And I admit that my hearing isn't as good as it should be. So could there have been, a mouse in the wall or something? Mm-hmm. I do think I still hear those things. I don't think that's at a level that it's affecting me, because I have heard those in other places and I definitely didn't. But he who has really good hearing did not hear anything. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing. The other thing that happened not very long ago, I'm at home and I hear the garage door open. I hear the garage door close. I hear the door from the garage to the house open. And it's one of those that has like one of those slider things. So it makes a lot of noise, goes shh, lock, steps. Hi, honey. Nope. He's not there. No one's there. I look outside, not there. Call him on the phone. Honey, are you coming home anytime soon? And he's just like, honey, I'm a good 20 minutes away. So that wasn't you, huh?
That's creepy.
Were you scared?
So, honestly, it doesn't scare me at all. Honestly, it doesn't bother me, except for when I was watching this scary movie, and then I was like, shut up, stop it.
Yeah, you don't watch scary movies before bed, especially if you experience something like that.
That happened. It's funny that you say that just the way you did, because that happened in my parents' home back in the 90s.
Oh,
my father would come home a certain time every night, and we heard the garage door shut, and then we heard someone walking up the wooden steps, and all of a sudden there's nothing. We opened the door, but there's nobody there, and his car's not even there.
Right.
And there's two thoughts, because I'm so deep into paranormal and doing these interviews. There's two thoughts. The first thought is that we're crossing dimensions with another side. Right. As if somewhere, sometime, because we made up the time, that we're coexisting in multiple realities, and there's a crossover between their dimension and ours. And then the second thought is that if we look at the ghost aspect of it, it's something that is mimicking, because they know how we do things, and they are able to mimic us and the voice. And we've seen that in our own home years ago, and that's scary. So there's two thoughts to that, and both of them are creepy, and
I mean,
interesting, and
you could try
Right.
to debunk it and see if it's like like a mechanical thing.
Right.
But
You can't do a mechanical thing on all of that. And I don't have an electric garage
there
thing
you go.
either. It's a hand one only. So I don't know. I mean, you could say, is it in my imagination? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've had situations where I heard somebody coming, like I'm sitting on the couch. I hear somebody coming up the steps. My dogs hear it. I'm sorry, my dogs cannot fake it. And they didn't make it up when I did. They heard it too because they're going and they're barking and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
It honestly, really, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm really not afraid of it. The only time I really got afraid, and I really still don't think it was like anything that was malevolent, but I was definitely not up for it, was I was at my grandparents and watching over their place for them while they were gone to Mexico. And for 3 nights in a row, well, actually, technically a fourth night, because the fourth night was when I finally ran. But I had where I physically felt a hand on me and a few times playing with my hair as I was trying to sleep, nails down my back. And it wasn't ugly or anything, but there's no one there. I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, okay, finally, fourth night, it happened again. And I end up in my car, in my pajamas, driving to my mommy's house. And I'm like 20 something years old. I'm like, Mommy, let me in.
Hey, it happens.
I don't know how to explain it. I don't
we
know that I
can
can
relate to
tell
what
you
you're saying. You're
exactly
not
what
alone
it
with that.
was. Pardon?
Yeah, you're not alone.
No.
You're not alone because I've done some of those things myself.
Yeah.
At 3:00 in the morning, I decided I'm leaving the house. This is when I was living with my parents. I'm leaving, and I just sat at the beach all night by myself, waiting for sunrise before I even go back into the home. So you're not alone with that. And it's like you're not scared, but it's the element of surprise that you don't want to see what's on the veil, what's through that veil, like what it really is, Like we could deal with the whispers and maybe the creaks and the walking to a certain degree, but we don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, if you've seen it,
no touch.
Don't be touched.
and don't
I have that rule. No touch. I have found that I can pretty much, I've had different electrical things, like it happens with several different things. So, and it'll only like be one light in the room. It's not like all things are going on and off at one time, or the TV will turn on, or it'll change the channel. Like I'm like, no, but the clicker's way over there. And there's no other way to do it, and nobody's anywhere near it. I mean, I've hit it before and leaned over, and then I look and I'm like, oh, I accidentally changed it. But when that happens and I look and there's nothing there and the clicker's over there and it changed it, I'm just like going, okay, look, I don't care what you want to watch. I'm watching this.
That's something I would say. Just leave my remote alone.
Right. Do not mess with me.
So when this happens, do you have any mental images of what it might be? Sometimes in your suppressed memory, they give you like an image.
None. No. I'm just completely, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I remember this other time that this one was really bizarre, and my husband was there, and this one really freaked him out. I'm in bed, about to go to sleep, and all of a sudden I have a ceiling fan, and you know how you have the lights with the chain like this?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden it went, and you could hear the clicking and the thing going over and over again, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And I go, Richard, stop it. He goes, what? I'm in the bathroom. He walks in to see it do its last 2 times. And he's like, what the hell? I'm like going, You didn't do that.
Oh man.
Is this the home that you live in now?
This is home we live in now. Yeah.
Oh.
And then we also had in the same room, we had a light, and it was really hard to turn on and off. And it was a little bit after that one, maybe a month or so later, and that went click, 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 click. And we sat there for the longest time trying to figure out if you could get it in a spot where it would do that by accident, like if maybe we turned it off.
Yeah.
But the thing was, this was a lamp we never used. It's in the room. It's pretty, but we don't use it because it's over in another spot. And so when we're turning on lamps, we're turning the lamps on by our beds. So it would have had to have been like that for a long time, but we could never make it do that. And so we're like, okay, well, so there's that. So, but I've had a lot of weird things. Like a friend of mine died in a car accident, and in the home, now this was when I was sound asleep, so I really didn't think too much of it, but I was startled awake by somebody grabbing at my legs and pulling on me. And I just thought, I was startled awake and I was so sleepy. I thought it was part of the dream I was in. So I went back to sleep. Didn't think much about it. Next morning I get up and my roommate said she had the same experience. And she was actually freaked out by it. But then my third roommate came out, did not hear what we had already said, and said, oh, shit. You won't believe what happened. And in his situation, he had his bed up on, it was like a platform, and then he had bricks under there, and the bricks were kicked out from underneath. And he was jerked, something grabbed him with the hands. And both of them didn't think about it being a dream. They felt it was real. I thought it was a dream. But then when you put the three together, and then shortly after that, we found out that he died in a car wreck at about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark. I did not look at the clock, so I cannot tell you for sure what time it was. But it was in the middle of the night, and it was still dark out. I can tell you that.
That's creepy.
It was definitely after midnight, because I didn't go to bed really before that very often. It was I might have, it's possible, but wasn't the norm for me then. It was usually
it makes you think. Those experiences right there it makes you think like, we're not alone. We go on.
No, we're not alone, and I don't think that's a bad thing. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't worry me. But I haven't had some of the hellacious situations I know that you guys have had. So, it's, in fact, I find it very comforting, that knowing, and I've always believed that our souls existed prior to being born. Yes. And of course, during our life and after. I don't think there's not really I don't see life as just something. This is a body we have, but we're not a body with a soul. We're a soul with the body, which is a way different concept. We are a soul. That is our primary existence, and that our body is just a temporary thing that we live in for a period of time. I do believe in reincarnation.
So do I. I've had many experiences with deja vu, and it's like, no, I've been here. I know I've been here. I can feel I've been here, and millions of people have had that experience. So I agree with you. I believe in reincarnation, and I do a lot of research on near-death experiences, and they all say that just what you said, that there's no beginning and there is no end. This is the vessel for this time, and the time is very short. And Julie and I were watching a movie a few months ago, and it's based on a true story. And the kid had cancer, and he fought it, and then the second time around, it was about to take him. And before that, he went into this coma, and as he was in the coma, he left his body, and he had a visual of the other side. They brought him back through the what do you call those things? The paddles.
Yeah.
To bring him back.
Yes.
Oh,
And when they brought him back, one of his last things that he said was like, "This journey here is like stopping at a stop sign, and then you go to the next journey. That's how quick it is. So appreciate the time here,
right?
Because it's so fast." And he goes, "What's on the other side is just amazing." And then not too long after his life was taken, sadly, but it gives you the openness to realize that these are people that have crossed over, went into a coma state, came back and said, "No, this is not what we think it is. It's not the end of all."
And we shouldn't
Right.
be so scared,
And
maybe.
it's this journey beyond and beyond and beyond. It's the soul's path.
Right.
So, and that goes with the reincarnation that, we've done it. What's your thoughts on the whole reincarnation?
Well, I believe that we are reincarnated in order to basically experience life. We're not meant to live. I mean, I used to think, well, why can't we just all live peacefully? And I'm not saying that's not the ultimate goal, because I do think that is the ultimate goal, and that's what we're meant to be. We're meant to be understanding, loving, compassionate, caring people who help each other and work together with each other. And I do believe that at some point on this earth that will happen. But right now, we're not necessarily meant to live this perfect little life, because we need to experience, or want to experience, maybe that's a better word. We want to experience all things in life. And the reality is fear, sadness. These are all things that remind us that we're very much so alive. And it tells us something about what not being afraid means. What does that look like? If you're angry, what does it look like to not be angry? If you love, what does it feel like to hate? If we don't experience all of those, can we really fully understand? Yes, the reality is, if the sun never went down and it was always kept this light, we may understand to a degree what light is, but you don't truly understand light until you know dark. And I don't mean dark as in scary. I just mean dark. We sometimes associate dark with scary, but it's not really. It's really just an absolute beautiful. It's one of my favorite times. When I go to sleep, I want it to be so dark I can't see the hand in front of my face. I love the darkness, but I also love the light too. I want both.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of the dark. I might be a little more nervous in the dark if I had some crazy killer after me and I can't see. That's a little different, but that's not the darkness's fault. That's just a product of how our eyes work. So we're here to experience and to understand all aspects. As a soul, I feel like we have more of a knowing and an understanding, but experiencing something is different. And we can take that with us. And over time, I think it's more about, I used to think that it was about us learning something and getting better and better and better. And in a way, yes, that still holds true. But I think it's more about us remembering who we are and choosing to be who we really are. I believe with every inch of my fiber, and I know there's mountains and mountains of evidence to say I am wrong, but I will never believe anything other than this, that we are all goodness, love, and light, and that we have roles to play. If one person needs to experience something negative, somebody has to agree to do that, to bring that negativity to them. So think of it this way. Even if you want to be a peacemaker, let's say that's your goal. You're coming into this life and I want to do nothing but bring peace and love to the world. Guess what? If you're going to be peace and love, somebody else has to be the opposite that you have to fight to change things for.
Very true.
That's another way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And, I may, or, I'm sure I don't have all the details right. In fact, I think it would be impossible to, but at 60 and watching how these things have come about, and it's what makes the most sense to me, because I've never, ever, ever been able to buy into a concept of an angry God that will damn you to hell. But if you choose to experience hell, you may. And you also may not. You can choose when you want to stop. Now, we're not conscious of this. And that's what gets really tough. Because when we're going through some really tough times, that's when we're most inside this body. But if we break out and come out to the soul level, it changes everything.
Do you think, from saying that there's a possibility that we've chosen our exit sign in the physical world, where we've already written it before we're born and saying, okay, at the age of 40 or 50, this is how I'm going to cross over to the other side?
I think that's possible. I do think that we choose an overall arcing idea of what's going to happen in our life. I don't think we choose every single thing that happened, because there's a lot of other people making choices too. And you can end up kind of colliding together, but you always have a choice how you're going to respond to it.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm not going to make a judgment one way or another, but I know some days I make much better choices on how to respond to something than on other days. Some days I don't respond very well. Yeah. And I get, and please do not think that I think that anger is a bad thing, because anger is something that's needed at times. But there are times when I've gotten angry about something that I really was pointless to.
And that's human. It's human nature, though, to be like that.
It is. It is. It really We're very human. I'm very human. But I do find that when I can come from a place of compassion, I'm feel so much better in life. And it makes life so much easier. Because when I get mad and I get frustrated and upset, everything becomes more complicated.
That's true.
I think I talked to you about this last time I was visiting with you guys, was that about Shakespeare saying nothing is either good nor bad, but thinking makes it so.
True.
And if you really think about that on its deepest level, it is true. Because somebody could look at a mass killing and come away thinking it's good. I don't think I would be that person, but somebody might look at it and say, isn't it beautiful? They finally got to go home. Right? Or somebody else might say, isn't it beautiful? Because now there's not as many people polluting the earth. I'm not saying what is right or wrong on this. I personally would have a really hard time finding something good in a bunch of people dying. To me, that's very sad. My personal belief is that we should not interfere with another soul's path. Although I will protect myself. That would be the big exception. But we shouldn't do something that ends another soul's path. That they need to be in control of that. But, there probably isn't anything out there that, say you're protecting a child, protecting yourself, protecting someone else. Somebody's coming at me and I have a chance to take them down before they take me down. Sorry, I'm not that much of a pacifist.
Definitely.
Of course.
I'm going to protect myself. And I'm sure as hell going to protect my family if I have any possible means of doing it.
Yeah.
Because I look at it this way. You made a choice to come into my house and try to harm us. I will take you down if I can.
True.
So, I'm not
100%.
saying that I'm like this total, complete pacifist. It's, maybe one day, but I don't see that right now. But yeah, I mean, we are a soul with a body, and that soul goes on and was here before.
Yes.
I definitely agree with you. And, especially when people that we love crossed over. Me personally, sometimes they come through the dream state and they look so good in the dream. And it's like, wow. And they're vibrant and they're like, no, I'm just on another side, but I'm here. I can see you. And they're real dreams. They're not elusive dreams. They're real. And you wake up with that feeling like, wow, I just had a dream with one of my best friends that crossed over years ago. And then the day goes on, and then all of a sudden something comes on the radio, like music that you remember that song with that person when you were hanging out with them.
Right.
And it's like they always say, look for the signs.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of signs there. Sometimes you miss them, and sometimes you'll see them.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So that's the paranormal part, and we're glad unfortunately it's a short show, but I like that you said that and your experiences, and the listener wants to hear that. But now, really quick, back to Fanboy. Let's talk about the takeaways. So what can people take away from watching the film?
What do you mean by takeaway? Like
takeaways, like the thrillers and chillers.
Yes.
Well, hopefully they'll feel scared. I think for the Friday the 13th fans, we're really, I've got a lot of Easter eggs in there, and horror fans are going to pick up on them. Non-horror fans, I think, will still really enjoy it, because we're really talking about something that, yes, it's a horror movie and it has slasher elements to it, but it's also a thriller, a psychological thriller, and it's a whodunit. Yeah. So for me, when I watch a Friday the 13th movie, you can have jump scares and you can be afraid in the movie. But in real life, I'm not really afraid of somebody coming up out of the grave physically and turning into the undead and start killing people randomly. And so when I get to the parking lot, I'm not going like this. But this one is something that can actually happen. And to me, that adds, for me personally, my personal experience is that makes it a higher level of fear. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people like the Universal monsters, myself included. I love the Universal monsters. But you're not afraid that Frankenstein's going to be in the parking lot when you get out there, or the creature in Frankenstein, I should say.
Yeah.
But this has a realism to it. And but I also think, we tried to have some fun with it. Yeah. Corey Feldman in particular has, there's always got to be a little bit of comic relief in this, and he definitely gives that to us. He's quite exceptional in it.
Psychological thriller, I like that.
We can't wait to see it. I'm really looking forward to it. I know the listeners are looking forward to it. So we want to thank you so much,
Yeah,
Deborah.
So tell everyone where they can find you, the release date, and all that good stuff.
October 22nd this year, 2021, is our release date. You can find me at Sheer Horror, Deborah Voorhees, Sheer Horror on Facebook. Sheer is spelled like garden shears, since that's how I died in the movie. And then you can also find information on 13 Fanboy, the page. I am on Twitter. I'm just starting to get to where I understand what I'm doing. Not great at it, but trying. And I have 2 Instagram accounts, and I'm not there yet. So not the best place to contact me.
It's so complicated.
Yeah.
But thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Yeah, tonight. This was a great show. Really quick. Everyone, please share it, and thank you for being part of this, and you want to see that film.
And we also want to have a special thank you to Carnation for fully sponsoring this show. We love them. Please join us next Monday night on United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM from New Orleans, and stay tuned for the Angel Rock with the amazing Laura Lee Copeton coming up next.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Everybody have a great, safe night. We'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you.
Good night,
Good
guys.
night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.